I'm a mother, and this Saturday is Halloween. Trick or treating, is it allowed? Is there any way to do that safely? I can't seem to get a straight answer.
Yeah, so we've been answering this question a lot, and actually we've been getting so many questions, and actually fielding and answering, responding to questions around holidays in general. So recent holidays that have passed, including like July 4th and Labor Day, and then all the upcoming holidays too. And sort of the way we open our responses, no matter how you look at it, the way we celebrate these holidays are going to look different this year than in previous years because of COVID and because of the need to keep our loved ones and our communities safe. So it's going to look different. It doesn't mean we can't celebrate the holidays, but they're just going to have to be done a little bit differently. But the good news about Halloween actually is that a lot of the activities that we engage in for Halloween are pretty consistent with a lot of the COVID safety guidelines. The bottom line, the bottom line point that we try to make about Halloween is that, we want to skip the indoor activities to try to keep all the activities outdoors. And that's pretty consistent actually with trick or treating. We also want to make sure everyone's wearing a mask. And then we also want to keep our groups small. In past years, I know lots of big groups of kids and big groups of neighbors and families often got together to go trick-or-treating. Sometimes there can be overcrowding when, especially from some of the more popular homes to go trick-or-treating. And that's something that we actually want to be careful about. So that's when we think about adapting our behaviors and our activities for Halloween this year. The main factors to consider is that we all want to be wearing masks. And that's something actually we can incorporate into our costumes this year. So I think a lot of people are being extra creative this year. And actually at Dear Pandemic, we do offer some tips on how to be creative around incorporating masks, around using sort of unique ideas around costumes. But then also the other part of it is that we also want to minimize crowding. And so that might involve getting together with your neighbors and talking about, which homes are actually going to be engaging, participating in trick-or-treating. You want to think about other new ways or different ways to hand out candy. Again, if people are wearing masks in general, I don't see that as necessarily as a high-risk activity to be collecting candy while trick-or-treating, but obviously we want to be wearing masks. And if there's going to be crowding, which can happen and does happen a lot, especially here in New York City, because we're a city that tends to live on top of each other. And so that is something that we do, that we are a little bit concerned about, and we want people to take care. And in terms of minimizing crowding, perhaps delivering candy in a different way. And again, we offer some tips about how to do that on our page. And then one thing I also don't want to forget, especially because I think this is particular to New York City, but also large metropolitan areas. When I was younger, one sort of big thing that we did around trick-or-treating was going into apartment buildings. So we would go into an apartment building and we would go door to door in the building to go trick-or-treating. And then we would use the stairwell to go to other floors and trick-or-treat that way. Because that's an indoor activity. And also it's very difficult to minimize crowding in these apartment buildings. That is something that we would highly discourage for this year. So even though we encourage people to go trick-or-treating, it should be an outdoor activity and not an indoor activity such as going into apartment buildings. And I know that can be difficult because there are some neighborhoods that are primarily apartment buildings, so that'll be more difficult for those families that live in those places. But that's really where we would discourage trick-or-treating.
Right. Okay. Well, it's kind of good to hear that it's not totally off limits, because I think that kids are getting a little bit stir crazy.